Did you know that fighting and the ground type by themselves are super effective against the most number of types, that being 5? But this raises the question, what are the best dual type combinations in regards to attack for every single type? Let's find out. Keep in mind that we're only taking into account the number of unique types that a combo is super effective against. Starting with the best offensive dual typing in the game, the ground type paired with the ice type. Ice is naturally super effective against 4 types, mix that with ground's 5 unique other types it's great against, and bam! You get a type that can use stab boost plus the super effective boost against 9 types, which by the way is half the number of all types. The only Pokemon to have this type combo is the Swinub. Mamoswine already has an insane attack stat, but defensively is lacking and it can't really learn much moves outside its typing. But again, when you can already super effect half of every type on the list, then you don't really need to. The next type is Fighting, which is tied with Ground for the highest number of types it's naturally super effective against, that being 5, but also is tied for the best type combo because when dueled with the Ice type, it also has 9 types it's super effective against. The only Pokemon so far with this type combo is Crabominable, which funny enough has similar stats to Mamoswine, being very much attack focused with low defensive stats. But unlike Mamoswine, Crabominable can learn a lot of moves from different types. So if you include those types' super effective capabilities, this Pokemon has the potential to be super effective to around 13 out of the 18 types with a cap of 4 moves. If the trainer gives it an Ice, Fighting, Ground, and Steel move respectively, or anything else really from its move pool in the place of Steel. Though 4 out of the 13 types won't be benefited with Stab, but still absolutely one of the best dual type combos. Now, the next best types actually all have the same amount of types that they're super effective against, provided I didn't do my math wrong. And for the sake of time, we're just going to list them. So all dual types that are tied with a number of 8 super effective types are Fire with Ground, Flying with Ground and Flying with Fighting, Bug and Ground, Rock with Fighting and Rock with Ground, and finally, Fairy with Ground. So they all just fall short of the best 2 type combos mentioned earlier with 9 super effective types, but clearly the pen is Fighting and Ground proving to be the best offensive types by far. Moving on, here are the next set of best possible type combos for the types about to be mentioned, but this time they're all tied at 7 super effective types. These are Water with Fire and Water with Fighting, Electric with Fighting and Electric with Ground, Grass with Fire, Fighting and Ground, Poison with Ground and Fighting, Psychic with Fighting, Ghost with Fighting and with Ground, Dark with Fighting and with Ground, and finally Steel with Ice and with Ground. Remember that these are all the best possible type combos offensively for the types on the left. Moving on to the remaining 2 types we haven't covered, next is Dragon, which naturally is only super effective against itself, so the highest amount of super effective advantages it can possibly get being dueled with another typing is 6, which is with again, Fighting or with Ground. The only Pokemon with these typings are the Hakamo'o line for Fighting, and the Flygon line, the Gible line, and Zygarde for Ground. It's funny because Dragon types should be terrible offensively with their low type coverages, but because of their high stats, usually due to most of them being legendaries or pseudo-legendaries, they are some of the best offensive Pokemon in the game. And finally, the last and worst offensive type is the normal type, since it doesn't have any super effective advantages, so obviously the best matchups would be with, again, Fighting and with Ground, for a maximum of 5 super effective advantages. It's interesting because types like Fighting, Ground, and even Ice and Rock, which are super effective against 4 types naturally, are so good offensively, but are some of the worst defensive types in the game. Which raises the question, what are the best defensive dual type combos for every type? Find out in this video here.